I got in a wreck with the Fiat.
There is no shortage of videos out there talking about how expensive it is to repair body damage on an electric vehicle, and because of the cost and the lightweight body panels, the battery packs, the lack of technicians to actually work on them, a lot of insurance companies will just total an EV with very minor damage, and there is truth to that. And insurance companies have told me as much. When we got our Model 3, which is going to be more to insure than this car is, Geico raised our premiums a staggering amount, which is why we went to a different insurance carrier with Allstate, and that kept our premiums back down where they were supposed to have been. Well, it can happen to anybody. There are a lot of drivers out there that aren't paying attention or whatnot, and we had an accident with one of our EVs. It wasn't our Tesla, it wasn't our Bolt, and thankfully it wasn't the Livewire, because that would have hurt a lot. It was our poor little tomato, our Fiat 500e. And I'm going to have Rachel come on and kind of tell you what happened.
One day, I was driving into the nearest town to where we live with my son in the passenger seat. I was driving the Fiat on one of those state highways. We were stopped at a stoplight. There was at least one car in front of us between us and the stoplight. I'm not sure if there may have been another car in front of us before that, but we definitely did not have the option to go. Somebody comes up behind us in a truck, some kind of big white truck. I wasn't paying close attention. Obviously, I noticed that he was coming, but next thing I knew, bam, he slammed right into us. Fortunately, he was aware that he was at fault. We all pulled over and discussed it. We took some pictures, and he gave me the insurance information out of the vehicle. Turns out it was a big white truck that also was carrying a trailer with some kind of like farm equipment on it. So a lot of mass, and the person that was driving it did not own the vehicle. He was borrowing it from a friend. So that was exciting. Fortunately, I wasn't hurt. My son wasn't hurt. Obviously, the guy driving the truck wasn't hurt. But we looked at the Fiat, and it had a little damage. Tomato got a little smushed. There was some scratching on the back. The bumper was sort of askew. And one of the sensors, the camera, or one of the sensors that tells you when you're approaching an obstacle, had sort of fallen off and was dangling down inside the bumper. So it wasn't great. We knew it was going to need some repair. So, you know, we continued on our way, and I was able to drive it. And when I got where I was going, I made some phone calls to see what we could do about getting it repaired.
Fortunately for us, even though the other driver was borrowing that truck, the owner of the truck had insurance, and we were able to make a claim with their insurance company, and there wasn't a big hassle about who was at fault, because the other driver had admitted it, and based on where the damage was, it was pretty obvious we were rear-ended, and we were sitting at a stoplight. But my first concern was, number one, all these people say that if your EV has minor damage, there's a chance that the insurance company might total it rather than try to get it repaired. On top of that, this is a 2018 Fiat 500e. There aren't very many of them left. I did a search right before we started filming on Cars.com. There's a grand total of 55 of these left nationwide in the US of this first gen Fiat 500e. And yes, there's a new one, but the selling price of these on Cars.com ranges as high as $15,000, as low as $4,500. There's no way we're going to get replacement cost out of it to be able to afford a new one, because they're up around $30,000. And the closest one to us is 3 years older than this car and 500 miles away. The car's 87 miles of range on a good day, as Rachel's main saying. There was no way we could get it without having it shipped. So I was hoping, please let them be wrong. This is purely cosmetic damage. It's the bumper cover, but that sensor's off a little bit, so there's going to be something wrong with the electronics maybe, I don't know. And if they say there's anything in the battery, that's all she wrote, because it's not going to take a whole lot of damage on the estimate for it to be worth more than it would cost to replace the car. It was just going to be really difficult. So I was a little bit worried.
All right, so we had all these phone calls and these messages back and forth between the insurance companies. They finally got it sorted out. Geico was accepting responsibility because their insured vehicle was the one that was at fault. Allstate, we canceled the claim with Allstate because they said, okay, Geico's going to take care of it. We don't need to do that. So that was all fine. Allstate recommended that we go to a body shop in the town where is closest to us, or one of the towns close to us, which was a place we'd been before and we liked them. So I called them up and they said, oh, sorry, we're not certified to work on Fiat, so we can't do it. But they recommended another place, so we had to drive all the way across the street, and there was a place right there that was certified on Fiats, was able to work on electric vehicles. They said, it's no problem, bring it right over, we got you covered. So we did that. All right, here's the breakdown on what was repaired and how much it costs. It says here parts, $569.30, body labor, $634.40, paint labor, $378.20, mechanical labor, $190, paint supplies, $279, miscellaneous, $60, other charges, $4. We also have sales tax at $53.02, municipal tax at $16.97, for a grand total of $2,184.89, and the insurance paid all of that. This whole process was really very painless. Like I said, the repair shop was in a convenient spot for us. It was summer, so Luke was out of school, so we didn't really have a problem with vehicles. The Geico did offer to get us a rental car. They offered more than once. I could have done it. The repair shop did have the car for about 3 weeks, but I was out of town for one of those weeks, and like I said, Luke wasn't working for some of that time. We have other vehicles, so it really wasn't an issue. I didn't need a rental car. Although I did have to drive the Bolt and the Tesla back and forth several times, and I got a little confused. But other than that, it was a painless process, and it really was no problem.
So how is the overall quality of the repair?
It was great. I haven't found anything wrong with it. It looks great. It drives great. I haven't noticed any issues at all. And so they seem to have done a really good job with the repair.
How is the sensor?
Sensor works just like it did before. No problems.
Was there any concern about the battery pack?
I did ask that question. I went to the body shop and I said specifically, did you check the battery frame and the battery itself to make sure there was no damage? They said, yes, we did, and it's completely fine.
Now, this story is not going to be indicative of every EV in a minor accident. Sure, yes, there are several out there that have their stories up on YouTube about how their car had just a little bit of damage and the insurance company totaled it. And it would have been very easy for Geico to total this car. It got discontinued 6 years ago. Yes, there's a new Fiat 500e out, but it's a new gen, it's a new platform. There's only 55 of these available for sale in the country. It doesn't have huge resale value. It would have been very easy to total. But they didn't, and they fixed it. And I wanted to at least let you know and have one story out there about how an EV could get out of a little accident with minor damage.
Yeah, we've mentioned this before. Those stories of things like that happening tend to get a lot of attention, and we just wanted to throw our story in the ring and let you know it's not always like that. Sometimes they just fix it, and it's fine, like a normal car.
So our hope was to kind of relieve some nerves and relieve some concerns that you might have had. And if this video did that for you, give us a like. If you found it informative, give us a like. And tell us down in the comments any experience that you might have had getting body work done on your EV. Subscribe for more content. We've got our 2-year review of our Bolt coming up next week. And even though it got delayed a little bit, we will do our full range test on the Fiat since it was requested. So be sure that you subscribe. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.